Hey guys, it's Tom Shue here, and today I want to show you guys how you can use EXIF data to help you with your photography. When you first start out, you don't really know what every little thing does to your camera, what your aperture setting is, what your shutter speed is, what your ISO is, or even what lens people use. So this will help you determine, say, if you want to buy a camera or buy a new lens or just make a picture. You can use this information to help better your photography. So this is an image that was liked by Zach Arias, and I follow Zach. He's a good guy. Let's take a peek at this image that he liked. Alright, so just looking at the image, I haven't looked at the EXIF data. I'm going to try to make some deductions on this image. Well, I would say it's kind of, I'm not sure what the focal length is, but I'd say he's up close to his subject because the background's blurred, but he's not using a really fast aperture. He's using kind of a longer aperture, because if you use a fast aperture and you focus on the eye, which is always kind of the point you want to focus in a portrait, the nose would be out of focus and the ear would be out of focus. But here he's carrying focus from the tip of the hat to the back of the ear. So basically the whole front of this face and stuff is in focus. So I would say that it's not really a shallow depth of field. I say it's somewhere around probably f8, something like that, and maybe even f11. But it's definitely not f12 or 14, and the background falls out. Now this image doesn't look like it's too wide. I think maybe it would be shot on maybe like a 80 millimeter, maybe a 70 millimeter lens. So basically, this is my deduction from this image, never looking at the EXIF data. And let's take a peek. Okay, so here we are. It shows you he used a 5D Mark III and he used a 50 millimeter lens. Okay, so I was off on the lens, and I predicted maybe f11, but it's actually f6.3, and it's ISO 100. So he didn't use a really shallow depth of field. This could give you some basics on understanding how images are created. Now let's look at this image, for example. Again, I haven't looked at the EXIF data. I just looked at the image, and I know this image is really blurry. It's because the waves came in and left. This isn't fog, guys. This is from the waves coming in and leaving and creating that kind of cloudy look, and that's kind of like the white froth on the waves. But as it's settled out, okay, it looks like fog. So I know it's a long exposure, and he probably used a pretty good depth of field because this front rock is in focus and that rock's in focus. Doesn't look like he used a tilt shift because there's no vertical depth of field. It looks like he just used our standard lens, and he probably focused somewhere around in this area. So this is in focus and that's in focus. It starts to blur out back here, but I'd say his focal point is in here somewhere. So let's take a peek in Flickr to look at the EXIF data, which has got a lot more data than 500 pics. Is if you press these three dots here, they've changed it recently. You click on View EXIF Info, and you take a peek. So we're going to see here, he's used a 5D Mark III. The full frame camera gives you a different depth of field than, say, a crop camera. Now the exposure is 257 seconds. And he did use a f13, and the millimeter is 70. Okay, I don't know any 70 millimeter lenses, so I have to say he's using a zoom lens, maybe a 70 to 200. Again, it's a prediction. We'll find out in a minute. Now, if you look at his exposure mode, it's bulb. So that means he's holding down a thing, or he's using a trigger. They got these digital shutter releases that you can use. If you put your camera in bulb mode, it will do it for so many seconds. Like he did it for like 257 seconds. Well, how could you do 257 seconds when the sun's still up? Well, I'll tell you how. He used what we call an ND filter, neutral density filter. It's like putting sunglasses on your lens, and it allows for the shutter to be open for a really, really long time and allows those waves to be creamy. So if we look a little further down, we probably could see what lens he used. Yes, he used not the 70 to 200, he used a 24 to 70. So this is f2.8, and he shot at f13 at ISO 100. There you go, guys. This is how you can use your EXIF data to determine how these kind of pictures are made. Now, Eddie, I've been following him in my Flickr stream for a while. He's turned into really quite the landscape photographer. And if Eddie, you're watching this, good job, buddy. This is a beautiful image. I want to thank you all for taking time to visit today. Until next time, we'll see you soon.